It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers in the great indoors again. Final game of the three-game series after a very forgettable game last night. Interesting, although it is a blow to your pride, it's an easy game to forget when you're walloped 18-7. It's a much tougher way to get through a game where you lose by one run. Today, the Dodgers turn the page and give the ball to Dan Haren. Haren, a record of 5-1. 2-0 against Arizona this year. He has always pitched well against his old ball club. He spent 3 years with Arizona, and one of his best years in the big leagues, 1 year with Arizona, he was a 16-game winner. Josh Coleman, who comes out of the bullpen to make another start against the Dodgers. He is 2-4 lifetime in his career against the Dodgers, and 2-3 in those games in which he has started. The Dodgers have won 8 out of 10 from Arizona. They remain 4 behind the Giants, who were shut out last night by Miami. And for Arizona, they're trailing now by 10.5 games. We'll get to the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this.
up at Subway for your chance to take the field with your favorite D-backs players. Subway, eat fresh.
Wherever you may night. Shortstop and seven set a national record. He was big man on campus that year. 18 wins, 13 shutouts, and an earned run average of 0.1. Well, that got the attention of a lot of people when he went to Central Michigan University and eventually signed by the Diamondbacks in 2007. He has a rather unorthodox delivery, and the first pitch to Gordon is outside, ball one. Cole Mender throws directly over the top, and sometimes it looks like the ball is coming right up over the top of his head. Gordon batting .313, 1 home run, 11 runs batted in, takes a strike, and the count 1-1. The corners are up, looking for the bunt, ready to defend against it. The roof is closed. Outside 94 degrees, inside 74 degrees. So 1-1. Here comes the next pitch, and Gordon looks, and it's off the plate, and the count runs 2 balls and 1 strike. D continues to lead the major leagues, 25 stolen bases, 10 more than Eric Young of the Mets, who has 15. 2-1 pitch on the way, a chopper to the right side. Pennington is on it and throws him out. So Gordon taps out, 1 down, and that will bring up Yasiel Puig. Take a look at Arizona defensively. It's Goldschmidt and Pennington, Owings and Prado, Ross, Pollock and Parra, Montero behind the plate, and Coleman on the mound. You notice the absence of Aaron Hill, Pennington playing in his stead. Hill out with a sore right shoulder. So here is Puig as Aaron Hill sits quietly watching the proceedings with J.J. Putz. And Puig with a 16-game hitting streak ready to check in. The Dodger outfield, all 4 men have done exceptionally well. The first pitch is in for a strike. Now we'll check that. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Last night we got a fastball and hit it to the balcony in deepest left center field. It was immediately left-handed down on the field, and then later Chris Owings hit one to the exact same spot. The 1-0 pitch fouled back, and the count 1-1. So look at the Dodger outfielders. Crawford has hit safely in 10 of 11. Ethier for the last 2 weeks hitting .333. Kemp is hitting .323 this month, and of course Yasiel Puig is just tearing it up. As Don Mattingly put it, he has distanced himself from the other outfielders. This time a towering fly ball, but it's playable. Going back for it is Pollock, waiting, and down into his glove it goes. So Gordon grounds out. Puig flies to center, and with 2 down, the batter will be Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez in last night's ball game had 1 hit in his 5 at-bats. He hit a couple of balls pretty hard, but still wound up on the outside looking in, batting .250, 5 home runs, 20 runs batted in. So Josh Coleman with 2 quick outs. Ramirez with 16 doubles this year. That would make him 3rd in the league. Coleman ready, comes over the top, fastball low, ball 1. 2 out, first inning, no score. After the carnage of last night, wouldn't be too much of a surprise to see a pitching duel. When you look at Coleman and that odd delivery, as Clayton Kershaw is well over last night, I'm sure. Coleman learned to throw a tomahawk. He used to do it with his brother. Over the top he comes, and is a high fly ball going foul down the right field line and back into the stands out of play. Coleman and his brother would take the tomahawk, go in the backyard, and try and throw it at a tree, or maybe go after some snakes with it. It was just something they did growing up. And after throwing the tomahawk directly over the top, that's how he learned to throw the baseball. 2-1 pitch on the way. Over the top fastball fouled away, and the count 2-2. Coleman, because of that unusual delivery, is really throwing downhill more than just about any other pitcher you'll ever see. He has a fastball and a changeup, kind of a slurvy curve. He was fooling around with a knuckleball, but I don't think he's throwing that. Here he comes with something that is whacked into the seats. Hanley Ramirez all over an off-speed pitch and drives it into the bleachers. And just like that, we are officially underway. 1-0 Dodgers. So the man from Homer, Michigan, gives up a home run. Dodgers have given him a bad time over the years in home runs. Going all the way back 3 years ago, Matt Kemp had won against him. 2 years ago, Adam Kennedy. Last year, Hanley Ramirez. Last year, Scott Van Slyke. And now this year, Hanley Ramirez. No doubt about it. It was certainly off speed. Some kind of a changeup, which is a good pitch for him, but not in that instance. And the Dodgers are on the board, leading 1-0. And the batter now, Adrian Gonzalez. Fastball outside, ball one. So Hanley trying to get back on track, and of course that would certainly be good news. The 1-0 pitch is fouled back. In last night's game, by the end of the third inning, Ramirez, Gonzalez, and Kemp were 1 for 17 in the series. The 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's swung on. Fly ball to center. Pollock has a bead on it. A.J. puts it away. So the Dodgers pick one up on one swing on an off-speed pitch, and Hanley was able to jump all over it, bury it into the left field pavilion, and at the end of half an inning, 1-0 Dodgers. We'll check Kirk Gibson's card now to see who's playing for the D-backs. It'll start off with Gerardo Parra in right field, Chris Owings at short, Paul Goldschmidt at first. Had a big night last night, 6 RBIs. Miguel Montero behind the plate, Martin Prado at third, Cody Ross in left field, A.J. Pollock in center, Cliff Pennington for Aaron Hill at second base, and Josh Coleman, the pitcher. On the mound for the Dodgers, Dan Herron. He is 2-0 against Arizona, although both games the Dodgers won by the score of 8-6. He went 5 2/3 innings and picked up a victory, 7 1/3 last time out against his old club. Gerardo Parra will start it off, then Chris Owings and Paul Goldschmidt. Dan ready, deals, first pitch in for a strike, and we're well underway. For Arizona last night, 5 doubles, 3 triples, 5 home runs. Tough act to follow. Strike one pitch to Parra inside, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. For Dan Herron, Cliff Pennington has a home run against him, and so does Prado. Gerardo checking but unable to hold back. It's going to cost him a strike. Quinn Walcott, the young umpire who worked the plate last night on the third base foul line. So 1-2 the count to Gerardo Parra. He's hit safely in 13 of his last 14 games. Better than that, 22 out of 23. And the 1-2 pitch in the dirt, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Herron 2-0, an earned run average of 3.4 against Arizona, and 4-1 in his career. The 2-2 pitch on the way is a ground ball hard. Gonzalez at the other end of it feeds Herron coming over, and they'll do it for Para. One away here in the first inning. Checking the Dodgers with the leather, it's Crawford, Ether, and Puig in the outfield, and the infield, Uribe, Ramirez, Gordon, and Gonzalez, and the battery, Dan Herron and last night's closing pitcher, Drew Butera, who pitched for the second time this year behind the plate. One away, Chris Owings coming up. Owings has had a great deal of success against Dan Herron. He's a fine young pitcher. Last night he reached base 4 times. He had a double, a triple, a home run, and a walk. Just a single shy of the cycle, and promptly fouls the first pitch back. 0-1. So Owings not only playing fine defensive ball, but swinging a hot bat as well. So young Chris out of South Carolina. Strike one pitch on the way. The right hand hitter backs off. It's inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out first inning, and the Dodgers leading 1-0 on a home run by Hanley Ramirez. 1-1 pitch fouled away outside of first, and the count 1-2. One little touch about Dan Herron. He pitches a little bit like an Asian pitcher in the sense he stops and pauses, pretty much collecting himself before delivering the ball. You don't see many other pitchers from this country pitching that way. He'll turn. There's the pause. Now the pitch, and it's a ground ball up the middle, smothered by D. Gordon, but no play. Gordon smothering on the grass well behind second base. Would not have had a play had he stayed with it. So Owings picks up where he left off. That was the single he needed last night for the cycle. So he had the walk, the double, the triple, the home run, but not the single, and now he gets it. And talking about a hot hitter, here comes Paul Goldschmidt. Of course, Goldschmidt has always been wearing out the Dodgers. In his career, he has 68 hits, 41 runs batted in, and he has scored 38, all against the Dodgers. So Goldie, 6 RBIs last night, takes ball 1, 1-0 the count. Goldie last night not only had 2 doubles, he also had 2 home runs to give him the 6 runs batted in. For good measure, he also walked. 1-0 pitch on the way, breaking ball down and away. Ball 2, 2-0 the count. So Goldschmidt certainly the big gun, the big man on the ball club. He has 69 base hits now as he checks in and waits. 2-0. Herron ready and comes back. It's swung on and sliced down the right field line. Puig in pursuit, but it's back into the stands. And the count 2-1. Goldschmidt cooled off for a few days, but actually in his last 17 games, he's hitting .352. The 6 RBIs last night, a career high. Earlier, you may remember, he picked up from where he left off last year, and he had a 26-game hitting streak. Herron thinks better of the pitch, backs off the rubber. Now plants the right foot and looks in to get the sign. 2-1 to Paul Goldschmidt. 1-0 Dodgers, first inning. Dan delivers fastball that's sliced again to right. Again Puig in pursuit, and again it's back in the stands. Good placement of the fastball, and Goldschmidt trying to protect the outside part of the plate. Can't pull that pitch, but he is able to slice it foul and come back and try it again. 6'3", about 245 pounds, and he is only 26 years old. He'll be 27 in September. Just starting to come into his own. 2-2 pitch on the way. Herron delivers. It's hit in the air to center. Little English on the ball, but it's caught out there by Andre Ethier. Almost like a knuckleball. It seemed to skid in the air. The Goldschmidt lines out to Ethier. Ethier making the gesture of a knuckleball. That's exactly the way it looks. He started one way and then the ball went the other. And finally he ran it down. So 2 out. 1-0 favor the Dodgers. And the batter is Miguel Montero. Montero, for the last month, a good 29 games, he's been hitting .308. So the left-hand hitting catcher fouls the first one away, and the count 0-1. Miggy went 0 for 4 in the first game, and he did not attend the party last night. So Miguel Montero feeling a lot better physically than last year when he had the bad back. This year hitting .278 with 5 home runs. Herron set at the belt. Dan deals. Breaking ball down at Montero's feet. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Dan Herron had one of his finest years in the big leagues with Arizona back in 2008. He was 16-8 here. The next year 14-10. The next year 7-8, and he went to the Angels. With the runner going, the pitch is fouled off third. Uribe coming over and can't get to it. It hits the roof of the Arizona dugout and kangaroos up about 15 rows. 1-2 to count to Miguel Montero. Montero, always a workhorse. This year, this will be his 42nd game. So Herron bends and leans on the left leg. Owings was going on the last pitch. We'll see what he does this time. D. Gordon is out on the grass in right field. Owings does not go. A low pitch and a half swing for strike 3. So Montero strikes out. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left. And at the end of an inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Dodgers. Hanley Ramirez hits a home run. We can tell you the Giants are now leading Miami 2-0. Buster Posey had a sac fly, scoring Gregor Blanco, who was hit by a pitch, stole second, moved to third on a ground ball, and the fly ball picked him up. And then later on in the inning, Tyler Colvin single, and that scored Pablo Sandoval. So 2-0 San Francisco, and they're really just starting. Dodgers will have Andre Ethier, followed by Carl Crawford, and then Juan Uribe. So Ethier gets a chance to start in center field, hitting .286 against right-hand pitching, and he has a look at the first overhand breaking ball for a strike, and the count 0-1. Ethier, in that wild game last night, appeared as a pinch hitter and doubled the left field. Did not make an appearance in the first game. Slices one down the left field line, foul, back into the crowd. 0-2 the count to Andre Ethier. Home run by Hanley Ramirez. That made 39 home runs given up by the starters for Arizona. They've allowed 55 home runs. The Dodgers have allowed 43. Ethier hits one into shallow right center. Pennington goes out and makes the catch. So one away in the second inning, and that'll bring up Carl Crawford, who has hit safely in 10 of his last 11. Hit his third home run of the year in the sixth inning last night with a couple of men aboard. You look at the final score, 18-7. You can't believe how close the Dodgers came from tying it up at one stage. Crawford takes a strike. Dodgers were trailing 10-7. They had 2 on, and Matt Kemp hit a ball at least 400 feet for an out to dead center field. If that were at Dodger Stadium, it would have been out. Here, at least, it reminded you no game is over until finally it was 18-7 and it was over. 1-1 pitch on the way. Crawford takes high. 2 balls and 1 strike to Carl. Josh Collmender giving up the home run to Ramirez. That's the difference in the game right now. And the 2-1 pitch, Crawford fouls it back. Dodgers will leave Phoenix after the game and fly to New York. Josh Beckett will open up against the Mets. The feeling now is that Hyun-Jin Ryu will probably pitch Wednesday in New York. 2-2 pitch, slap foul, out of play. Don Mattingly said before the game, if everything continues to go well, Ryu will start Wednesday, and it will be a very tough roster decision. Somebody has to go down to make room for Ryu. Line drive, base hit over a leaping Owings and on out into left field. So Crawford now has hit safely in 11 of 12. Boy, you've really got to get hot to make the Dodger outfield.
Third baseman, number 5.
So a 1-out single brings up Juan Uribe. Crawford might put a little pressure on Collmender. He's stolen 5 out of 7. And Uribe hitting .308. Uribe last night had a couple of singles. So Juan checking in. 1-0 Dodgers, second inning, 1 away. Collmender out of a stretch and lobs a throw to first. Crawford a threat to steal over there at the bag with 1 out. Collmender again set. Checks and deals, and the pitch is low and inside at the knees. 1 ball and no strikes to Juan Uribe. Facing Josh Collmender, who last year pitched 92 innings. 29 of those innings were in extra innings. Crawford inching off, held on by Goldschmidt. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way. Uribe sprays it foul upstairs off first base, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Josh Collmender was a reliever. Now he's a starter, and maybe it's the price you pay if you are a reliever. 2 years ago he had ulcers, but Gibby stayed with him. He pitched well through both the physical and mental strain, and eventually became a starter. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Collmender looking over at Crawford and decides he'd better back off the rubber. Dodgers lead 1-0 second inning. Hanley Ramirez hit a line drive home run into the left center field pavilion. 1-1 pitch on the way. Uribe pokes it foul. That might have been out of the strike zone, but he went after it anyway. And the best he could do is foul it off to the right. 1-2 the count to Juan Uribe. Dodgers had a streak broken. They had beaten Arizona 7 straight as the road team until they lost last night. Dodgers still have won 8 of 10 from Arizona, starting with 2 games in Sydney, Australia, way back the end of March. 1-2 pitch. There goes Crawford. Missed at the plate. Good throw and a hop too late. Crawford had a good jump as Uribe strikes out. So Crawford has stolen 6 out of 8. And with 2 down, the batter will be Drew Butera. So Carl Crawford running very well. Good strong throw. Short hop by Owings, but Crawford holding onto his helmet as he slid in. Feet first. 6 out of 8 now for Carl. And Drew Butera trying to pick him up. Butera had to come in last night and get the last couple of outs, which he did. Big overhand fastball high and away. 1-0 the count. One thing that Don Mattingly said to Butera last night: lay off the breaking ball. Afraid that he might hurt his arm, and he had to catch today, and of course he'd be called on to throw a few times perhaps as today's catcher. 1-0 pitch on the way is a little low, so Butera has the count. 2 balls and no strikes. 2 outs second inning. Dodgers lead 1-0. A runner in scoring position. Last night the D-backs with runners in scoring position were 10 for 20, and the Dodgers were only 2 for 15. So we'll see about this opportunity, and there's a foul ball off to the left. So Butera with a good hitter, Dan Haren, on deck. You know, Haren once went 4 for 4 against the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, when he was at Pepperdine, he went there originally as a hitter. Cole Mentor reading Montero, who's shuffling cards behind the plate. Now Josh Reddy, and the 2-1 pitch off the plate for ball 3. 3-1 the count to Drew Butera. Aaron tuning up, figuring he might have an opportunity to help his own cause. And Cole Mentor ready. 3-1 pitch to Butera, taken off the plate for ball 4. So with 2 out, the Dodgers have runners at first and second, and Dan Haren coming up. Haren not only had that 4 for 4 game against the Cardinals, that was back in 2010. He's had a couple 2 3-hit games, one at Colorado and the other at Dodger Stadium. All of those when he was pitching and hitting for Arizona. So 2 on, 2 out, 1-0 Dodgers, second inning. Cole Mentor ready. Here he comes. A little chopper off Cole Mentor's bare hand, picked up by Owings, who throws to Goldschmidt, who makes the tag. It's your old 1-6-3 play. Cole Mentor getting his bare hand on that, and Owings making a neat play to Goldschmidt. And at the end of an inning and a half, 1-0 Dodgers. spend Memorial Day with family and friends at Dodger Stadium Monday the 26th of May. Dodgers and Reds at 5:10. The first 40,000 fans in attendance take home an Andre Ethier themed barbecue apron presented by Farmer John. So for tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Dodgers and Reds at 5:10. Dodgers will have played in Philadelphia Sunday afternoon, and then they will fly home to play an early game at 5:10 on Monday. Dan Haren ready to go to work against Messrs. Prado, Ross, and Pollock. We told you the Giants were leading 2-0. They added another. Brandon Hicks singled home Michael Morse. That game goes to the second inning, and the Giants lead 3-0. Dodgers trail by 4. D-backs trail by 10.5. Martin Prado will start. And the first pitch to Martin finds the mark. 0-1 the count. Prado hitting .259. Right-hand batter. And Haren ready and delivers and misses high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dan leading 1-0, bottom of the second. And Haren's 1-1 pitch to Prado is swung on, broken bat, a flare, and a leaping catch by D. Gordon. So Prado robbed of a hit as D. Gordon goes up the ladder, fully extended and able to snare it for the out. Up the ladder. A perfectly timed leap by D. Gordon, gracefully snares it, and we have 1 away in the second inning. The batter now, Cody Ross. So Haren saved of a base hit. Ross last night walked 3 times, had a base hit. Cody, with that base hit, means he's had 1 hit in his last 12 at bats, though his batting average in the 180s. Cody dislocated a hip running to first base, so he was on the DL. Right-hand hitter has a look at a pitch low. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cody Ross. He had that dislocated hip last August, and it carried right on through into April. 2-1, fouled off, 2-2. Cody at the end of last year signed a 3-year deal with the D-backs. You may remember he had played briefly for the Dodgers, and he was on the Giants World Championship Club of 2010. He hits a chopper up along third, foul ball. Uribe didn't hold it, but it was a foul anyway. So Ross will come back and try it again at Portales, New Mexico. Cody Ross. So Dan Haren saved on a leaping catch by D. Gordon. Now working 2 balls and 2 strikes against Cody Ross. Cody 5'9", but he checks in about 200 pounds. He's had a long career, originally signed by the Tigers back in 1999. Here's a 2-2 pitch on the way. Haren delivers. It's hit in the air to right field. Puig going back, reaches up and can't get it. It's over his head. Ross into second base with a double. That ball might have fooled Puig. It was a low line drive. I'm not quite sure if it just took off on him or he misjudged it. In the blink of an eye, however, it went over his gloved attempt and wound up at the base of the fence. Cody hit a fastball hard to right field. Going back slowly was Puig, and then the ball just sailed over his head. So I don't think Yasel, when the ball was hit, I don't think Puig realized it was hit that hard. He instinctively stepped in. So I think many times he would have made the catch on that. So it goes if you're a pitcher. You get saved by one player, and then the other has problems. And with 1 out, a runner at second, and A.J. Pollock at the plate. So Gordon took a base hit away from Prado, and Ross doubles on a questionable play by Yasiel Puig in right field. So Herron ready and delivers. Pollock takes a strike. 0-1 the count. Pollock, AJ, but Alan Lorenz Pollock the fourth, hitting .302, 5 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Last night he had 2 singles, a triple, a home run, and a stolen base. Strike one pitch is low. 1-1 the count to AJ. He's out of Hebron, Connecticut, and went to Notre Dame. He was also a very good basketball player in high school and a varsity soccer team player. The 1-1 pitch to A.J. Pollock, swung on, chopper to third. Uribe backs for a hop, hesitates, and throws late. Uribe appears stunned as Hanley Ramirez comes over to talk to him. Uribe backed up, but that was understandable to get the hop. And then after backing up, he hesitated. I'm not sure if he was waiting for Adrian Gonzalez to get to the bag, because you can only have your eye on one spot. Maybe Gonzalez wasn't quite there when he was ready to throw the first time, but he obviously hesitated, and it's going to be a base hit. Runners at first and second with the ball hit ahead of him. Cody Ross could not go anywhere. So boy, what an elevator ride for Dan Herron. A leaping catch by Gordon, a questionable play by Puig, and now the questionable throw from Uribe. And the batter is Pennington, who takes low, ball one, 1-0. I don't know if our camera could show where Adrian Gonzalez was as to why Uribe hesitated. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way, and that's in the dirt. The only thought I had was it wasn't a double clutch. In other words, Uribe backed up, got the ball, was all set to throw, and then he paused. Well, take a look at, you see Gonzalez is pretty far away from the bag. Now here's Uribe ready, oops, and then throws, and Pollock runs too well to hesitate. So maybe Adrian was a little too far off. Ground ball wide of first. Adrian has it high to Ramirez, back to Herron, and it's behind Herron, backed up by Gordon, but the run's going to score. So Pennington, it's a ground ball to Adrian Gonzalez, and they get the force play on Pollock. Herron was trying to grab the throw from Hanley Ramirez. The throw was high to Hanley Ramirez, so that made it doubly tough on the shortstop. He had to go up in the air to get it, and his throw was wide. Herron could not glove it, and suddenly there's a gift run. Meanwhile, Kirk Gibson out there talking to second base umpire Jeff Kellogg. They might be talking about Hanley Ramirez and the old neighborhood play. Alan Trammell, I think, who played a lot of shortstop, was the one who sent Gibby out there. So Hanley made a good play to stretch on the dead run, and then his throw is wide. So it's a force play to take care of Pollock at second. Ross goes to third on the force and scores on the error charged to Ramirez. So 1-1 tie in the second inning. For the Dodgers, not only it's the errors they commit, it's the plays they fail to make. And here's Colemeter. Josh swings, doesn't get it, and the count 0-1. So the Dodgers committing the error. They have now made 37 errors in 45 games. 1-1 pitch on the way. That's low, ball two. So you had Prado robbed on a leaping catch by Gordon. You had Puig fooled on a line drive to right by Ross. You had Uribe hesitating because Gonzalez couldn't get to the bag in time for the throw, and by the time he got there, Pollock had beaten out the play. And then the force play and the hurry throw by Ramirez. Herron couldn't catch it, put it all together, and the D-backs have a run. 2-2 pitch on the way. A comebacker. Nice leaping catch by Herron. Close to first, and the Dodgers finally get the last out. However, the Dodgers make things tough on themselves defensively, and at the end of 2, a 1-1 tie. One tie. Don Mattingly talking to a fine third baseman in the past, Tim Wallach. The Dodgers making a couple of poor plays in the second inning. It cost them a run. The most unearned runs allowed this year. The Washington Nationals 28, the Arizona Diamondbacks 27, and the Dodgers 25. Cleveland Indians 26. But boy, those are the killers, whether they're earned or unearned. When you just fail to make the play, sooner or later it really catches up. And for the Dodgers, as we mentioned, they've already made 37 errors to account for the 25 unearned runs. Here's Gordon, who made the leaping catch leading off and takes low, ball 1. Gordon grounded out in the first inning, 0 for 1. D last night had 1 for 4, a single and a walk, and in the game before he had 1 hit. Hits a ground ball to the right side. Up with it, there's Pennington to make the play, and we have 1 out in the third. Now Yasiel Puig coming up. Puig fly to center in the first inning, 0 for 1. Batting .327, 9 home runs, 35 runs batted in. Had trouble on that line drive by Cody Ross, and it eventually led to a run. When the Dodgers had trouble on Pollock's bouncer to third, and then lost the double play. Yasiel takes down and away, ball 1. Josh Colmender trying to give Arizona a series win. Each team has won each of the first 2. 1-0 pitch on the way. Puig way out in front of it, and the count 1-1. Off-speed pitch at 80. So Colmender, who sat in the dugout last night watching Arizona score 18, and you wouldn't help, he was thinking, I wish they'd save some for me. Well, he's got the tying run, and it's 1-1 in the third. 1-1 pitch over the top, bad ball, and swung on and missed. That was kind of a Puig from last year, almost as if he was determined to swing no matter the location, and that wasn't close to a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Colmender delivers high, 2-2 the count. And it would be typical of Puig if he thinks he made a mistake on the ball hit by Ross. It would be typical that he was going to come up now and make do. Yasiel back up, 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the third, 1-1 tie. 2-2 pitch is low and inside, and the count runs all the way. Coleman coming into the game and looking at his numbers, he's only walked 11 and struck out 26 prior to today. The 3-2 pitch to Yasiel Puig. Coleman ready. Here he comes. Swung on. Bounce to the third. Prado is up with it and throws him out. Two out in the third inning, and Hanley Ramirez coming up. Hanley Ramirez hit a big off-speed curveball and buried it in the bleachers in left field. Dodgers with the home run ball. They've had 8 home runs in the last 9 games and a total of 11. So Hanley just added to that. He has a look at the first pitch that misses. Ball 1, 1-0. Ramirez 6 home runs, 21 runs batted in, hitting .254. Now the 1-0 pitch is swung on, hit foul down the right field line, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Hanley backing out to slow Coleman down. He was really pitching in a hurry to Gordon and Puig. Now they hook up. The 1-1 pitch on the way to Hanley, inside at the hands, off speed, to 79 miles an hour. 2-1 the count. Dodgers 1 run, 2 hits. D-backs 1 run, 3 hits. 1 big Dodger error. 2-1 pitch to Hanley Ramirez is taken inside, ball 3. On deck, Adrian Gonzalez. Ramirez has walked 18 times. And the 3-1 pitch to Hanley, very high, ball 4. Second walk given up by Josh Coleman. He walked Gutierrez back in the second inning. So 2 out, a runner at first. Adrian Gonzalez, who flied to center in the first inning, coming up. Gonzalez batting .262, 9 home runs, 28 runs batted in. 2 for 7 coming into this game, so 2 for 8 in the series. Pennington plays him in shallow right, and a monstrous fly ball to deep right center field into the swimming pool area. Gonzalez really hits one a mile, and the Dodgers lead 3-1. For one reason or another, the Dodgers beat up on Coleman with home runs. Last year, I think he allowed like maybe 6 or 8, and the Dodgers had at least 4. And here they have 2 against him today. And Gonzalez really hits a bomb and gets the ball wet. He got a fastball above the knees out over the plate. It's 4-13 near that point as it went over into the bathing area. The ball actually hit and wound up dry as Gonzalez is pointing to where it finally wound up. So the Dodgers out in front again, 3-1. And the batter will be Andre Ethier. Because anytime the Dodgers hit a ball anywhere near the pool, you know that touches a nerve over here. When the Dodgers celebrated in the pool last year. Andre takes low and away, ball 1. Popped up in the second inning to Cliff Pennington. So Ramirez homers in the first. Gonzalez homers with a man aboard, and the Dodgers lead 3-1 as Ethier swings and misses. So Adrian feeling good about that shot as he stands near Mark McGwire, between McGwire and Mattingly. The 1-1 pitch is fouled back by Andre. 1-2 the count. Dodgers 3 runs, 3 hits. Arizona 1 run, 3 hits, and we're in the top of the third. Dodgers trying to win the series 2-1, give Herron a victory if they could, and move on to New York. 1-2 pitch poked to the left side. Owings goes back to get it, throws just in time. Boy, that was a bang play at first. So it is Adrian Gonzalez showing the way as he hits a mile-high fly ball all the way over into right center field, clearing the wall, and gives the Dodgers a 3-1 lead. Gonzalez hits his 10th home run of the year, and for the Dodgers continue to wearing out Josh Comender. Last year he allowed 8 home runs the whole year. 4 of them were hit by the Dodgers. This year he's allowed 8 home runs, and 3 have been hit by the Dodgers. So that's 7 of the 16 home runs hit by the Dodgers to torment Josh Comender. So it's 3-1 Dodgers. Gerardo Parra up there hits one right between the legs of Herron into center field for a base hit. So Parra chimes in with a single. That's hit number 3 on Herron. It almost hit his left foot. So Parra 1 for 1 now with his hit. 1 for 2 in the game. Chris Owings singled to short in the first inning. The Chris coming up hitting .282. Dodgers 3, D-backs 1, bottom of the third. On deck, Paul Goldschmidt. Herron ready, deals, and the pitch low, and low enough for a strike as he ran up as if to bunt. The more you see Owings, the more you realize that he just seems to be developing and getting better and better. And of course, Dan Herron would agree. He's 7 for 9 against Dan Herron. 0-1 the count. Dodgers load up the left side, and the pitch in the dirt gets between the legs of Butera, goes near the backstop, and down to second goes Parra. So we'll wait for the scoring on that. Drew went down, and all of a sudden the ball just suddenly squirted behind him for a wild pitch. He did everything right, but it still got by him. So that takes away a possible force play, double play. Dan Herron's second wild pitch of the year. Bottom of the third. Dodgers 3, D-backs 1. With Owings, Goldschmidt, and Montero coming up. Gordon is directly behind second base right now. Aaron looks back there, comes to the plate, swung on and missed, and the count 1-2. D. Gordon was checking the bench. He was actually in motion just before Aaron delivered. And now they've decided with a runner at second, they will hold him almost directly behind the bag. So Adrian Gonzalez all alone on the right side. The 1-2 pitch on the way to Chris Owings is taken low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Owings, 22 years old. He'd be 23 in August. Came up briefly last year, played 20 games and was very impressive and hit .291. 2-2 pitch. Owings swings, slices it down the right field line in the corner, foul and out of play. No chance for Puig to catch up to it. And Parra goes back to second base. Dodgers with 2 home runs. That means the opposition has hit 56 home runs against Arizona today. Ramirez and Gonzalez. Adrian with a man aboard. So Dodgers lead 3-1, third inning. Aaron straightens up. Another look back at Parra. And the 2-2 pitch on the way to Owings is slapped in the air, foul down the right field line, back into the crowd. Aaron might be 2-0 against Arizona, but both games were tough ones. Each game the Dodgers won 8-6. So it's been a battle. Butera out to talk to Dan. Aaron made 38 pitches, 20 in the second inning, and now having to work hard. 46 pitches already. Aaron looks and sees Parra, takes his lead for the base hit and the wild pitch. 2-2 to Owings. Very tough hitter, especially against Aaron. Dan ready and delivers. Ground ball hard between Ramirez and Gordon into center field for a base hit, and Parra scores. So Owings is going to find a hole no matter what. He is 2 for 2. The Dodgers load up the side, and he still found the hole. Just between Gordon and Ramirez. A frustrating play for the Dodgers. So he is now 8 for 10 against Dan Aaron. Gordon diving at the ball, trying to keep it on the infield, but he couldn't do it. So Chris Owings really giving Dan Aaron a bad time. And of course the wild pitch helped. So the Dodgers lead 3-2 in the third inning. And Goldschmidt, a high fly ball into left center, but it appears playable. Coming over to make the catch is Crawford, and holding at first is Owings. So Goldschmidt, a long fly ball. I could read the lips of Dan Aaron. He just turned and said to Gordon, "It's unbelievable." And I know what he was talking about, how when you can load up the left side and a hitter can still find the hole. Unbelievable indeed. So 1 out. That'll bring up Miguel Montero, who struck out in the first inning. 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the D-backs. And actually for the D-backs, the runs, 1 came in on the error. The other probably would have scored anyway. Without the wild pitch, Parra probably would have gone from first to third and then scored on Goldschmidt's fly ball to Crawford. Montero talking before getting in the box, either to Butera or to the plate umpire, Paul Schreiber. Meanwhile, Owings, good speed at first base, and the off-speed pitch is low. So 1 out. Montero the batter, Owings at first. Owings is 4 for 4 in stolen bases. Montero, the left-hand hitting catcher, has grounded into 4 double plays, and he lifts 1 foul out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Owings at one stage in the first inning was trying to steal on a foul ball, so the Dodgers have to watch him. Dave McKay over to say something to young Chris as he takes his lead. Aaron set at the belt, looks over his left shoulder. There he goes. The pitch is low. The throw is late, and Owings now is 5 for 5 in stolen bases. Adrian Gonzalez over now to talk to Aaron after that play. Owings a good jump. Gutierrez a strong throw, but late. And Owings now 5 for 5. Adrian Gonzalez slowing things down. He went to the mound, picked up the rosin bag. He's still staying at the mound and looking over at the dugout, almost waiting for a command of some sort. Well, he didn't get anything. He'll go back to his position. Maybe Adrian thought that Owings might have been tagged out, and he was wondering whether the Dodgers were going to contest the call. The pitch to Montero is outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count. Dodgers 3, D-backs 2, 1 out, bottom of the third. Chris Owings 2 for 2 with a stolen base. Gordon 5 feet out on the grass in right field. 3-1 pitch to Montero is fouled away over to the Dodger dugout, and the count 3-2. Miguel Montero from Caracas in Venezuela lives in Chandler, Arizona. He catches an awful lot of innings. The #1 catcher, Yadier Molina. Since 2009, he's close now to 6,000 innings. 3-2 pitch. Montero way out in front of an off-speed pitch, and down he goes. Montero strikes out a second time. 2 down, and Martin Prado coming up. Aaron pulling the string, as they say. Montero way out in front, wanted to break his bat, but thought better of it. Prado had that looper heading towards right field, and D. Gordon went up the ladder and made a fine, fully extended one-hand catch. 2 out, third inning, 3-2 Dodgers. Tying run at second base for Arizona, and Prado takes a strike. Aaron with 2 strikeouts, Montero each time. 0-1 to Martin Prado from Maracay in Venezuela. Strike 1 pitch, little ground ball to Gonzalez. He'll feed Aaron coming over, and that's the end. However, a single, a very costly wild pitch, and another base hit, and at the end of 3, 3-2 Dodgers. Is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. And by the Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2014 Truck of the Year and first ever back-to-back champion. As we go to the fourth inning with the Dodgers trying to hold on to what is now a 3-2 lead, Arizona makes a change. Eric Chavez, the veteran, will take over at third base for Martin Prado. Prado had been robbed of a hit by Gordon and just grounded out Gonzalez to Herron covering, and so Chavez takes over for Prado. Eric Chavez appeared as a pinch hitter last night and hit a home run. Meanwhile, Carl Crawford and a strike, 0-1. One ball and one strike to count. Ground ball wide of first. Nice backhand pick by Goldschmidt to Coleman covering, and we have one away. That'll bring up Juan Uribe. Dodgers sputtering a little bit defensively. They'll have to wait till after the game to find out. The big play, the ground ball to Uribe. He backed up, handled it nicely. Didn't double clutch. Hesitated before throwing to first. Pollock flies and beat what should have been a routine out. Strike, 0-1. To be honest, couldn't tell whether Adrian Gonzalez had been so far off the bag he couldn't get back there immediately. But the infield single eventually caused the run. One ball and one strike. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits for the D-backs. Coleman 3-6 lifetime against the Dodgers, and Uribe comes up empty. 2-2 the count. Coleman has the full beard and the mustache. Back in 2008, he was clean shaven. That's a little pop fly. Angling out is the second baseman Pennington to make the catch. 2 down. Coleman back in 2008 was pitching for the South Bend Silver Hawks, and the club was off to a poor start, and his teammates, for whatever reason, began clamoring for Josh to grow a mustache. Well, he grew one, and the team, especially Coleman, got hot. So by the end of July that year, they decided that would be a great promotional event to draw the fans. Ball 1 at the plate. So what they did, they will give free tickets to any fan who arrived at the park with a Coleman-esque mustache. Well, he went from the mustache to the full beard. And here's the boy from Homer, Michigan. 2-0. Over the top fastball at 86. 2-1 the count to Drew Butera. Dan Herron on deck. And that finds the inside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Drew. And got him. So Butera is called out on strikes. 1, 2, 3 inning for Coleman for the first time today. And at the end of 3.5 innings, 3-2 Dodgers. reason. 10 years ago, he pitched the perfect game against the Atlanta Braves. May the 18th, 2004. His catcher was young Bobby Hammack. Hammack was here today. And for Johnson, he threw out the ceremonial first pitch to Bobby Hammack. A lovely moment in the history of the Arizona Diamondbacks. A remarkable pitcher, a 5-time Cy Young Award winner. Overwhelming, somewhat frightening sometimes. 4,800 strikeouts, and still had a little something on it as he threw out the first pitch to teammate Bobby Hammack. Now back to reality in the bottom of the 4th inning. 3-2 in favor of the Dodgers with Ross, Pollock, and Pennington. Ross doubled to right, that line drive that I think fooled Yasiel Puig for a split second, and that's all you need when the ball's hit hard. I guess when you're getting dressed and you're an Arizona Diamondback, you're never sure if the roof's going to be open or closed, because otherwise there's no reason to put the black on your cheekbones if you're playing and the roof is closed. I mean, you look at Cody and you would think that it's a bright, shiny day here in Phoenix, which it might be outside. 3-1 to Cody Ross, putting on the war paint indoors. 3-2. Some ballparks you prepare to go to the game. You got your scorecard, pencil, beach ball. Well, over here, scorecard, pencil, swimming trunks, and Ross is going to send one to center field, high off the wall, and it's a home run for Cody, and that ties up the game. Cody Ross played for the Dodgers 2005 and briefly in 2006. That home run, that would be the 4th home run allowed by Dan Haren, and we have a 3-3 tie. So Ross, 2 for 2, has scored twice, and a strike now to A.J. Pollock. But Cody with a big grin. Hits it out. For Cody, that's his first home run since August of 2013 against Tampa Bay. (3-3). And that misses. 2 balls and 1 strike. Cody Ross, playing with the Marlins, had a dozen home runs. One year he had 22. He also had 22 for the Red Sox. And that ball is whacked into the left field corner. That's rattling around, finally picked up by Crawford. Into second base goes Pollock with a double, and Dan Haren is being hit hard. So A.J. Pollock, a bullet inside third, down into the corner, and in a 3-3 tie, nobody out. Arizona trying to come from behind. Dodgers led 1-0. Arizona tied. Dodgers led 3-1. Arizona got 1. Now they picked up another in the 4th inning. 3-3 in the 4th. Tough time for Don Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt. Pennington, Cole Mentor, and Parra due up. And a high strike outside part of the plate. 0-1 the count to Pennington. Cliff doing a good job replacing Aaron Hill, out with a sore shoulder. Pennington, a Texan from Corpus Christi. Little roller wide of first. Gonzalez hangs it to Haren. On the play, Pollock advances to third, and the batter will be Palmeter. So a tiebreaker is 90 feet away, and Palmeter has the honor of trying to get it home. He has a long look at third base coach Glenn Sherlock. Let's just check something with Palmeter. He does not have a sacrifice. Just thinking about a possible squeeze. Infield is up. Pollock down the line from third. He runs very well. Palmeter missing. No balls, 1 strike. Aaron ready to make his 70th pitch, and we're only in the 4th inning. No balls, 1 strike. In the dirt, blocked nicely by Butera. Aaron has 1 wild pitch. That was in the 3rd inning. So he's committed 2 wild pitches this year. 1-1 to Palmeter. Palmeter came into the game 1 for 12. And a line drive off the glove. Gordon recovers late, throws to first in time for the out. Gordon started to go way off to his right to fill up the middle, but the ball went off the glove of Aaron. So all of a sudden D had to turn around, fell down really, and made a rather remarkable play. Off the glove, see Gordon spin, get up, whirl, throw to first, and all the while Pollock had to hold at third. Well, that was a terrific play by D. Gordon to be able to recover going one direction and having to turn and into a hurry. So D's made 2 wonderful plays so far. Pollock is still at third. Gerardo Parra grounded to Gonzalez and single to center. Hit one right between the legs of Dan Herron. Ball 1. Gerardo batting .276. 2-0 the count. Chris Owings, who just wears Herron out, is on deck. Owings 2 for 2 today. Two and 1. Giants leading Miami 3-0. They're in the top of the 5th inning. And a dry foul down the right field line. 2-2 the count. Game 1 Friday night, we had 31,000. Then last night we had 36,600. And a nice crowd again today. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Pollock at third. And a bad ball chased, and down goes Parra. So the Dodgers get a break, good pitching, and a great play by D. Gordon to keep Pollock at third. And at the end of 4, 3-3. Dodgers have led twice, and each time Arizona has come back to catch them. And now in the 5th inning, Dan Haren followed by D. Gordon and then Yasiel Puig. Josh Comender has taken his 8 warm-up tosses, and we're about ready to get into the 5th inning. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. 3 runs, 7 hits for Arizona. Arizona has left 4. Dodgers have left 2. Haren a strike, 0-1 the count. To repeat, Dan once had a 4-for-4 game. He's had 2 3-hit games. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dan in his career has not done well. It's been an unmerry month of May. Fly ball to right field. Parra is there. Comender has retired 5 in a row since the home run by Adrian Gonzalez, and that'll bring up D. Gordon, who's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's one thing to leap in the air and one-handed catch. That's nice. But what he did on that ground ball by Comender was remarkable. Racing to his right to back up, he suddenly had to drop, whirl, come in, get the ball, throw to first, and was able to get him. A remarkable bit of body control and great reflexes. 1 ball and no strikes to D. Gordon, 0 for 2, playing pepper with his opposite number, Cliff Pennington, the Arizona second baseman. They always play up on the corners, and he promptly hits a line drive at Pennington. So Gordon lines out, 2 down, and Yasiel Puig coming up. Back in April, Puig faced Comender at home at Dodger Stadium and smashed one of those, no doubt about it, way back into the left center field seats. He's grounded out and fly to center here. Right. Over the top changeup. Fifth inning, 3-3. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ramirez homered in the 1st inning. Gonzalez homered with Ramirez aboard in the 3rd. Outside of those 2 home runs, the Dodgers only have a single by Crawford. A broken bat, ground ball to first. Goldschmidt takes it to the bag. That bat not only broke, it splintered. So the Dodgers go in order. 7 in a row retired by Comender in a 3-3 tie. Bottom of the fifth inning, 3-3 tie. A reminder, today at 5 p.m., Sportsnet LA brings you a one-on-one sit-down interview with Darryl Strawberry. Get connected as he talks about the pressures of playing in New York. Tune in for the premiere of Connected With. Darryl Strawberry today at 5 p.m. on Sportsnet LA. Dan Haren ready to work to the hottest hitter, especially against him. Chris Owings 8 for 10 against Haren, fouls it away. Last night Owings had a walk, a double, a triple, and a home run. He just missed the cycle, and then first time up single to short and single to center. A big series for the 22-year-old shortstop Chris Owings, who finds himself in a hole now. No balls and 2 strikes. 5 for 7, and he's had 3 RBIs in the series. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris Owings, Charleston, South Carolina. He'll be 23 the middle of August. A first-round pick. And he's going to get another hit against Haren. So he's 9 for 11 against Dan Haren. And Owings 3 for 3 today. So a tiebreaker at first. Everything that Haren delivers, it's returned with a base hit by Owings. That is also the 8th hit against Haren, with nobody out in the 5th inning. Dan had already made 76 pitches in his first 4 innings. So now Goldschmidt, flied to center, flied to left, and a strike. 0-1. Goldie had a career night last night. A double, a walk, another double, and then consecutive home runs. 6 runs batted in. 1-1. Of course, Goldschmidt is expected to drive him in. He knocked in 125 runs last year. So far this year, 9 home runs, 32 runs batted in. Fouled away. 1-2. Three runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Diamondbacks. They have left 4. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. 2 of the 3 hits home runs. They have left 2. Haren has been in a lot of trouble, and Coleman has now retired 7 in a row. One ball and 2 strikes. Owings has also stolen a base on a drive to right. Puig comes up, makes the catch, guns it over to first base. Owings back. That line drive almost took off on Puig, but Yasiel, quick reflexes, reached up and snared it. Couldn't do it the first time. And the batter now, Miguel Montero, who was struck out in the first, struck out in the third. Montero having a good year, hitting .274. He was an all-star catcher representing Arizona 2012. Dodgers 3, Arizona 3, bottom of the 5th. High fly ball down the left field line. Crawford on the dead run to the track at the wall. Makes the catch. Boy, Carl had to go a long way to get that. Left-hand hitter going deep the other way. So a fine play by Carl Crawford, and that drive almost to the bullpen, right at the fence. And Crawford playing him, had to go on the dead run to follow it, and he was running out of room. So a big play by Carl Crawford, 2 down. Owings a threat to steal now, especially. Eric Chavez at the plate. There he goes. The pitch is high. The throw is late. Ramirez talking to the second base umpire. Not an argument. Now Adrian Gonzalez says something. Aaron says it. But there's no real discussion. Owings on a short hopper goes in with arms and legs, and Ramirez thought he had gotten him coming off the bag right there. Of course, the second base umpire, Jeff Kellogg, could not see Owings' right arm come off the bag. So Owings doing everything well. 9 for 11 against Herron, 2 stolen bases. Take another look. He's beaten it there, but that's not the argument. He will roll over, and we can't tell, except the knee is on the bag, I guess. But it was worthy of Ramirez to at least bring it up. So a tiebreaker, and Eric Chavez at the plate and takes ball 1. Chavez picking up for Martin Prado, who was 0 for 2. Chavez in the 8th inning last night came off the bench and hit a home run. Chavez has 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Comes up empty, 1 and 2. He's hitting .275. Last year he broke up a no-hitter. 9th inning with 2 out. Yasmani Pettit was pitching for the Giants, and Chavez came up and broke up the no-no. Now he's just trying to break a tie. 3-3 bottom of the 5th. 2 and 2. Chavez, 36 years old. He'd be 37 in December. Picked by the A's back in 1996, and he had a tremendous career in Oakland from 1998 through 2010. 2 and 2. And ball 3. After Chavez, you get Cody Ross, who has doubled and homered. Herron has 2 strikeouts with Montero. He also got Parra in the 4th inning. And that's going to go foul off first, well back into the crowd. The paid attendance today, 35,406. 35,406. About 104,000 people for the 3-game series. Well above the average for the Diamondbacks. 3 and 2. And a drive to right. Puig going back to the track at the wall. Chavez has done it again. So Eric Chavez, a pinch hit home run last night, and today replacing Martin Prado, and in his first at bat he reaches the seats in right field. His 3rd home run. He has 7 runs batted in, and it's the D-backs now prevailing 5-3. 2 home runs given up by Dan Herron today. That would be 5 home runs allowed. And now Cody Ross fouling a pitch away, in the count 0-1. Cody Ross, giving Dan a bad time, has doubled and homered. So last night and today, the Diamondbacks have hit 7 home runs. One by Cody, the other one by Eric Chavez. 1-1 pitch. Check swing and a hopper to D. Gordon, and that'll be that. However, a 2-run home run by Eric Chavez, and the Diamondbacks for the first time today take a lead 5-3. And it finally ended before a crowd of over 52,000 at Dodger Stadium. Fernando Valenzuela's brilliant career. Remember, he was 8-0. He had 7 complete games and 5 shutouts, and the Philadelphia Phillies shut him out, and the Dodgers 4-0. They even got him out at the plate. He went 0 for 3. He was still hitting .333. Let's go back to this one. And Fernando now a spectator on this great day. So saluting 2 marvelous left-handers. Randy Johnson with his perfect game on this day. And then, of course, that magnificent record of Fernando, 8-0, 5 shutouts, 7 complete games. Hanley fouls it off. He has homered and walked, scored, so he scored twice. He came home on the home run by Gonzalez. So the Dodgers led 1-0. D-backs tied. Dodgers led 3-1. D-backs tied. D-backs lead 5-3 in the 6th. Fouled away. Still 0-2 to Hanley Ramirez. Dodgers will fly to New York after the game. Josh Beckett will open up the series with the New York Mets. The way the Dodger pitching appears to be, Beckett Tuesday, Paul Mahalam, or Hyun-Jin Ryu. And it looks like Ryu will replace Mahalam Wednesday. Don Mattingly saying if indeed Ryu does pitch, Mahalam will be a valuable asset in the bullpen to join J.P. Howell. 0-2 the count to Hanley Ramirez. One and two. Hanley with a base hit to right field last night. Also lined out to third. Hit a couple of balls hard. And then hitting the home run today. Down he goes. So Ramirez strikes out beginning the 6th inning. That would be the 3rd strikeout for Coleman. More importantly than that, he's retired 8 in a row. Adrian Gonzalez came up in the 3rd inning with a man aboard, and boy did he get all of it, driving it gracefully into the pool area in deepest right center. That put the Dodgers in front 3-1, but now they're trailing 5-3. Dodgers came over here having beaten Arizona 8 out of 9 and 7 straight as the road team. Won the first game, and then of course we're in that wild pitch last night, and now the D-backs trying to give them a bad time now. We get a report on why Martin Prado came out, why Eric Chavez came in, and of course Chavez hits that big home run to give the D-backs the 5-3 lead. That's fouled away. Martin Prado was removed for precautionary reasons due to blurred vision in his left eye. And of course, as a right-handed batter, that's the front eye, unless you're turned around. Most of them do try to look at the pitch with both eyes, but no way to have blurred vision in a big league game. So Prado is out of there. 0-2 the count to Adrian Gonzalez. Fouled away. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the D-backs, who have 2 home runs and 2 doubles. The Dodgers 3 runs, 3 hits. They have 1 home run. Dodgers only have 3 hits. So Coleman are very much on his game. And a little fly ball. Ross has to come a long way. Makes a diving trap of the ball. And Adrian is safely aboard. Quinn Walcott, the third base umpire, went way down the line to make sure he could see the trap. And the batter will be Andre Ethier. So a nice try by Cody. But with a left-hand hitter up, he just had too much ground to cover. Gave it his best sliding shot. Couldn't make the play. So fly ball single. Adrian 2 for 3. Now a big meeting on the mound. Gibson going out, and Coleman is coming out. Oliver Perez is going to be called in to face Andre Ethier. Boy, that was a quick hook. 5 1/3 innings. He goes out winning 5-3, and we'll be back. Perez brought in to go after Andre Ethier. For Josh Coleman, he went 5 1/3, goes out winning 5-3, so he can certainly be the winning pitcher. And you can understand bringing in the left-hander to face Andre Ethier. Andre is hitting 158 against left-hand pitching. So Oliver Perez out of Culiacan, Mexico, Going head to head with Ethier. 1 out. Gonzalez at first. And Ethier checking in. 5-3 Arizona. 1 out, top of the 6th. Ethier followed by Crawford. So back-to-back left-handers. In fact, in the Dodger lineup, they bunched together 3 left-hand hitters: Gonzalez, Ethier, and Crawford. And ball 1. Ethier has popped up, grounded out, 0 for 2. Normally puts up pretty big numbers against Arizona. In his career, he was hitting .327 against Arizona. Breaking ball gets the inside corner. Ethier annoyed. He is really hot. He thought that was way inside. Trying not to make a public confrontation. Paul Schreiber, the plate umpire. Ethier let off a little steam without going head to head with the umpire, but he was annoyed. 1 ball and 1 strike. And that's inside. Ball 2, 2-1. Schreiber's been umpiring 17 years in the big leagues. He's from Oregon. Been around a long time calling balls and strikes. 2-1 to Andre Ethier. And the fastball way inside. Ball 3. So he's been trying to keep it on top and waiting on deck. Carl Crawford. 1 out. Gonzalez at first. 5-3 Arizona, 6th inning. And ball 4. So Oliver Perez keeps everything on top of Ethier and eventually walks him. Now the Dodgers have the tying runs aboard with 1 out, and Carl Crawford coming up, or will he? No, he will not. Matt Kemp is going to come up and bat for Crawford because he's hitting only .190 against left-handers, and Kemp comes in at a good shot. So Matt Kemp in a moment coming up with 2 on, 1 out, 6th inning, and the Dodgers down 5-3. Matt Kemp, as far as the numbers are concerned, it's interesting. Ethier hitting about .190 against a left-hander. Carl Crawford hitting .170 against a left-hander. So you bring up Matt Kemp, he's hitting .174 against left-handers. So no matter where you look, the left-hander has a tremendous advantage on any of the 3 hitters. So 2 on, 1 out. Evan Marshall, we saw the young right-hander last night. He's up in the D-back bullpen. Breaking ball, ball 1 to Kemp. Gonzalez at second, Ethier at first, 1 out. 5-3 D-backs. Ground ball to short. They will get 1 and they will get 2. And so much for strategy. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left, and at the end of 5.5 innings, 5-3 Arizona. 5-3. A reminder, Thursday, May 29th, the Dodgers and the Pirates at 7:10, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance take home a Dodger team-themed T-shirt presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Dodger outfield now. Matt Kemp, coming off the bench, hit into the double play, takes over in center field. Andre Ethier moves over to left. Puig is in right. And we go to the bottom of the sixth with Pollock, Pennington, and Perez. So Dan Haren working on Pollock, who had a ground ball single to third and double to left. That's a strike. 1-1. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The Diamondbacks have left 4. 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. They have left 3. Line drive, base hit down the line. Ethier over to get it. Pollock, big turn, and scrambles back head first. So AJ is now 3 for 3. Five runs, 10 hits for Arizona. And Haren now will be facing Pennington. So that ball was drilled. Ethier did a good job to hold it to a single. Pollock runs so very well. He was thinking 2 and then jammed on the brakes. So Pollock, 2 singles and a double. Good play defensively by Ethier. Pollock is the other Diamondback who does the stealing. Owens is 6 for 6. Pollock is 6 for 7. The Haren will have to contend with him. Off speed for a strike to Pennington, who has hit into a force play. Brandon Lee gets up in the Dodger bullpen. Haren right up there ready for his 100th pitch. And that's it. So he's now made 100. He's down 5-3, and he's due to bat third in the 7th inning. So Dan doesn't figure to be around much longer. First of all, he has to survive this bottom of the 6th inning. One ball, 1 strike. Pollock at first. Pennington, big chopper in the hole. Nice play by Gordon for the out. They couldn't stop Pollock from moving into second base. So now Oliver Perez, who is due up, will be called away. With a runner in scoring position, they'll go to the bench. And in a moment, we'll see Alfredo Marte. Marte started last night in right field. He was 0 for 3, and then Pollock relieved him. Marte was the one man in the starting lineup last night who did not enjoy the festivities. They had 21 base hits, and he was on the outside of the candy store looking in. So now they'll ask him to come up with a knock, with Pollock at second and 1 out. Alfredo Marte. Pickoff play, and it gets by Gordon, but it's alertly backed up by Hanley Ramirez. Haren, a big turn, throwing right into the runner so that Gordon couldn't get his glove on it, but Hanley backed up. 5 runs, 10 hits for the D-backs, trying for another. 3 runs, only 4 hits for the Dodgers. 2 of them home runs by Ramirez and Gonzalez. Oh, and 1. Alfredo Marte from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. He's an even 6, 190. 25 years old. Signed by the Diamondbacks back in 2005. 0-1. Check swing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers in the 7th. Uribe, Butera, and Harron spot. One and 2. Marte was 5 for 16, so he came up there with a .313 batting average. He had 20 home runs at Mobile, so he's got some power. And as they say in baseball, he went from suspect to prospect in the dirt. 2-2. So Pollock, who opened the inning with a base hit, now at second, 1 away in the 6th. 5-3 Arizona. Gerardo Parra on deck. Fastball hit to center. Kemp packs it up. Pollock holds, and the strong throw to the infield. So we have 2 down here in the 6th inning. And the batter, Gerardo Parra, grounded to first, single to center, scored a run, and struck out. You know, one of the rules in baseball, they tell the pitcher, get the first pitch for a strike. And the second rule is get the first hitter. It hadn't worked that way in the last few innings. 4 innings in a row, the Arizona leadoff man has gotten on base. 3 of the previous 4, and that includes Pollock out there, have scored. Parra led off the 3rd with a base hit. He came home. Ross led off the 4th inning with a home run. Owings led off the 5th inning with a single. He came home on Chavez home run. And now Pollock is led off the 6th with a base hit. Oh, and 1 the count to Gerardo Parra. Fouled away off to the left. 0-2. The Diamondbacks, when the series opened, they had won only 4 games at home, and the Dodgers nailed them 7-0. But they came right back with a vengeance last night, and now they're trying to make it 2 straight. 1-2 to Parra. Parra, 27 years old, just turned 27, May the 6th. 5'11", a 200-pounder, and a Gold Glove in right field with a great arm. Little chopper up along first. Gonzalez to the bag, and that's the inning. So they leave Pollock at second base. And at the end of 6, 5-3 Arizona. Arizona. They'll take a look at what's ahead for the Dodgers, and it's still a long part of the road trip. They're heading for New York. They're off tomorrow, and then they start 3 games in a row at 4 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A highlight certainly will be the return of Hyun-Jin Ryu, who is due to pitch on Wednesday instead of Paul Maholm. Then from Thursday's night game, they'll go to Philadelphia, spend the weekend in Philly, fly home after the Sunday game, and open up the 5-10 game on Monday with the Cincinnati Reds. Remember that homestand, the Reds followed by the Pirates, followed by the Chicago White Sox. Evan Marshall, who appeared briefly in the 6th inning last night, he will be coming in. He came in last night and struck out Uribe, and the first man he gets is Uribe, then Butera, and we'll see about a hitter for Herron. Evan Marshall out of Sunnyvale, California, greeted with a bullet down the line, foul. 0-1 to Uribe, who needs a new bat. Evan Marshall was thinking about baseball all of his life, got a baseball scholarship at Kent State. And that's when he started thinking about what happens if I don't pitch. So he majored in business administration, planned to go into sports management after graduation, but they found him and signed him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Marshall 6'2", 220. 24-year-old right-hander. So it's been Cole-Mentor, Perez, and Marshall. Cole-Mentor, the pitcher of record. It's hit late and foul. 1-2. Cole-Mentor went 5 1/3. Perez got the double play from the pinch hitter Matt Kemp, and now Marshall getting ready to face Butera on deck, and we'll see about Herron. There's no one throwing in the Dodger bullpen. 1-2 to Uribe. Justin Turner, helmet on, bat in hand, as Uribe strikes out a second time. So 1 out in the 7th. Looks like Dan is through for the day as Butera comes to the plate and Turner is out on deck. Butera has walked and struck out 0 for 1. 5 runs, 10 hits for the D-backs, 3 runs, only 4 hits for the Dodgers. Home runs by Ramirez and Gonzalez, a single by Crawford and a single by Gonzalez, and that's been it. Fastball, he's thrown in 94 every fastball. Now the Dodgers get more activity in the bullpen as Turner comes out on deck. Brandon League is joined by J.P. Howell. Ground ball hard, but Pennington in front of it, and that does it for Butera. 2 down. Justin Turner coming up. Turner came off the bench last night to bat for Withrow and doubled. So he'll make his 2nd appearance, batting for Dan Herron. Herron was 0 for 2. Turner batting for him, and Dan goes out losing 5-3, having pitched 6 innings. Check swing for a strike. Dan Herron made 110 pitches in his 6 innings and gives up 5 runs, 10 hits, 2 home runs. He had 3 strikeouts and a wild pitch. Oh, 2 to Justin Turner. Turner hitting .233. As a pinch hitter, he's hitting .250, 2 for 8. One and two the count. Marshall with a good two-seam fastball. He has a slider, a curveball, and a changeup that he throws about 84 miles an hour. That's some changeup, but he throws his fastball at 94. And little ground ball to short. Owings is on it, and the Dodgers roll over in the 7th. So at the end of 6.5 innings, Evan Marshall walks off, Dan Haren walks out, and it's 5-3 Arizona. Brandon Lee takes over as the Arizona Diamondbacks, trying to make it 2 out of 3, lead the Dodgers 5-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Rockies and the Padres, the Rockies are leading 5-4, and there have been a couple of home runs in that game. Rene Rivera, Seth Smith for San Diego, Corey Dickerson and Troy Tulowitzki for Colorado. Tulo now has 13 to lead the league. Chris Owings, Paul Goldschmidt, and Miguel Montero. Owings a strike, single to short, single to center twice, stole 2 bases, just having a terrific time. 0-2. Owings 9 for 11 against Dan Haren. And pitch in the dirt, chased and missed. Butera throws him out, and we have one down. They finally get Chris Owings, and we have one out here in the 7th inning. The batter will be Paul Goldschmidt, who is 0 for 3. He had that big bat last night with 6 RBIs, but right now, even though he's quiet, Arizona has 10 hits and 5 runs. Brad Ziegler, who pitched last night, will be brought back to try and close it. Ground ball to third. Nice pick by Uribe to get him. And we have 2 down in the 7th inning. Miguel Montero will be coming up. Dodgers have not done much at all. 4 hits, 2 home runs, 1 by Ramirez, 1 by Gonzalez with a man aboard. The other 2 hits, Crawford had a single and Gonzalez a single. Dodgers really had 1 rally, first and second, 1 out in the 6th. They pinch hit Matt Kemp, and he grounded into a double play. And ball 1 to the left-hand hitting catcher, Miguel Montero. Dodgers in the 8th inning. It'll be Gordon, Puig, and Ramirez. 2-0. Giants leading Miami 4-0 in the 8th. Pablo Sandoval a home run. Ryan Vogelsong pitching a shutout thus far. Two balls and 1 strike to Miguel Montero. Struck out twice, flied to left, 0 for 3. Two and 1. A line drive that might have been slowed down a little bit by League's glove. Boy, that thing was really shelled. Right off the glove. Take another look. Yep. So Montero comes up with a base hit to go 1 for 4. And Eric Chavez coming up. Boy, he's on a roll. Chavez came off the bench last night and hit a pinch hit home run. And then Martin Prado in the 5th inning was taken out, blurred vision, and Chavez pinch hit for him and hit a home run with a man aboard, and that's the difference in the game. He fouls it away 0-1. Here's Eric facing Haren, and got a pitch up and knew what to do with it, driving Haren to his knees as he hit the ball into the pavilion, and that gives the Diamondbacks the 5-3 lead, which they enjoy right now. Eric Chavez won 6 Gold Gloves when he played at third base. Of course, Brooks Robinson won 16. Mike Schmidt won 10. Scott Rowland won 7, but he's tied with Buddy Bell and Robin Ventura. They each had 6 Gold Gloves at third base. Chavez, big bouncer to Gordon, and that'll be that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and we're heading to the 8th. 5-3 Arizona and Brad Ziegler. Arizona. Don't miss Hyun-Jin Ryu's bobblehead night at Dodger Stadium. Tuesday, May 27th at 7:10. The Dodgers and the Reds. The first 50,000 fans in attendance take home a mini Ryu. Compliments of Visit Korea with Asiana Airlines. And for tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Brad Ziegler and Ender Inciarte come into the game at the same time. Inciarte taking over as he did last night for Cody Ross in left field. And Brad Ziegler, who worked an inning and a third last night, will pick up to pitch the 8th inning. Addison Reed closed the game last night, and we would expect to see him pitch the 9th today. D. Gordon is 0 for 3, grounded out twice and lined out. Yasiel Puig hitting behind him is 0 for 3. And a high bouncer over the head of Goldschmidt, but Pennington retrieves and gets him. So Gordon taps out. He goes 0 for 4. All 4 times D. Gordon hit the ball to Pennington. 3 ground balls and a line drive. And now Yasiel Puig, and perhaps that streak now, since we're in the 8th inning, is on the line. 16 straight, 8 straight with an RBI and extra base hit, and he is 0 for 3. Fly to center, grounded to third, grounded to first. And ball 1. Brad Ziegler, veteran reliever, big man at 6'4", facing another big man, 35 years old. 1-1. (5-3) Diamondbacks. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Dodgers have only 4 hits. They had 2 of the 4 hits home runs to account for their 3 runs. Solo home run by Ramirez. Gonzalez a home run with a man aboard. And hit him. The Puig is hit on the leg and will walk it off to first base. It might also mean the end of his streak. For the Dodgers, that brings up Hanley Ramirez, and he's representing the tying run. Got him right on the back of the left knee. So Puig at first, held on by Goldschmidt. Hanley Ramirez homered, walked, and struck out. Ramirez and Ziegler. Hanley is 1 for 5. 0-1. Last night Ziegler came in and pitched to Uribe and Ellis. Then he gave up a double to Justin Turner, but then he got Gordon and Puig. (5-3) Arizona. Top of the 8th, 1 out. One ball and 1 strike. On deck, Adrian Gonzalez. Giants are leading 4-1, top of the 8th inning. So the Dodgers in danger of falling back by 5 unless they recover. High foul ball, chopper off third. 1-2 to Hanley. Brad Ziegler had 13 saves last year. He has relinquished that role to Addison Reed, formerly with the White Sox. Reed has 11 saves. Ziegler does not have any. A hopper to shortstop. They go to second, back to first. Dropped by Goldschmidt. So Hanley would have hit into a double play. You can't anticipate a double play, but at the same time, you could certainly anticipate the first baseman handling the throw.
First baseman, Adrian Gonzalez.
He's going to draw the error. So the inning is still alive and could be a very big play, allowing Adrian Gonzalez to come up. The 6-4 force play, error charge to Goldschmidt, and we'll see what the Dodgers do with the break. Goldschmidt has committed 4 errors this year. Gonzalez fly to center, hit a 2-run home run and singled. Pennington plays 10-15 feet out into shallow right field. Looking at Ziegler and Ramirez. Ramirez was 1 for 5. Gonzalez 2 for 4. Two out, 8th inning. Dodgers get a small break on the drop by Goldschmidt. Colemente, Perez, Marshall, and now Ziegler. And a ground ball slowly up the middle. Raced and run down by Pennington, but by that time Ramirez is safely aboard. Runners at first and second, and Andre Ethier coming up.
Left fielder, Andre Ethier.
So Adrian Gonzalez comes up with his 3rd hit. Pennington wouldn't quit. Good for him, but Ramirez was already on the bag. So Mike Harkey comes out talking to Ziegler and Montero as to how they want to pitch Ethier, who has popped up, grounded to short, and walked. Checking Brad Ziegler going up against Andre Ethier. Ethier is 2 for 2 in the past against Ziegler and did not face him last night. So 2 on, 2 out. 5-3 Arizona in the 8th. Matt Kemp on deck. And ground ball to the hole. It's going to go through. They're going to wave Ramirez in, and then they stop him as the throw goes to second base. Lorenzo Bundy was waving him home, and the throw was going to second. For whatever reason, Hanley stopped, so the bases are loaded on a base hit by Ethier. Well, Matt Kemp has been Johnny on the spot as Ethier grounds one through. Ramirez flying around third, Bundy waving him in, then all of a sudden he stopped and the throw went into second base. I think Hanley thought they were going to throw behind him. He wasn't even looking at Bundy. So we'll see just how important that is. Matt Kemp got into the game as a pinch hitter for Carl Crawford in the 6th inning and grounded into a double play. And now he's up there. He is 1 for 12 with 5 strikeouts against Ziegler. And ball 1. Matt Kemp has 6 grand slams. The last one was against Cincinnati back in 2011. 1 ball, no strike. And a line drive at Pennington. So Matt hits it hard right at the second baseman. The Dodgers lead 3, and we're going to the bottom of the 8th. 5-3 Arizona. Arizona. A reminder, MLB TV Premier, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD, over 400 devices. Visit Dodgers.com for details. Ender Inciarte, followed by A.J. Pollock and Cliff Pennington. A frustrated Matt Kemp, who has grounded into a double play and then lined out with the bases loaded. And we go to the bottom of the 8th, 5-3 D-backs. A bunt out to get it, Butera, and guns him out. So Inciarte trying to bunt his way aboard. Butera, a good play, 1 out. The closer for Arizona, Addison Reed, begins to loosen up. When you look at the 8th inning, you can really understand how frustrated the Dodgers were. They had a hit batter. They had a drop by the first baseman on a double play ball to keep the inning alive. They had a single by Gonzalez. They had a single by Ethier. And they wound up coming up empty. First pitch, a strike to Pollock. Adrian Gonzalez, by the way, a 3-for-4 game for Adrian, his first 3-hit game since April the 24th against the Phillies. 0-2 to Pollock. For the Dodgers, the last call in the 9th inning, it would be Juan Uribe, Drew Butera, and League. J.P. Howell along with Paul Maholm, 2 left-handers in the pen. Maholm will be going back to the bullpen, as we mentioned earlier, because Hyun-Jin Ryu is going to take his spot in the rotation and pitch Wednesday in New York. One ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Uribe is 0 for 3 today. You struck out twice. Butera is 0 for 2. And then the pitcher spot. Dodgers have already used Justin Turner and Matt Kemp. Chopper to the right side. Gordon gets a nice big hop. 2 down. Five runs, 11 hits for Arizona. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. Cliff Pennington 0 for 3. Hit into a forced play, grounded out twice. Hitting .245. Tuffy Gosowicz is out on deck. The backup catcher would hit for Ziegler. Oh, and 1. 1-1. Pennington playing second base. Aaron Hill played the first game and then had the bad shoulder, couldn't throw, so he's been resting. That's a strike. Pennington last night had a triple and a single. One ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Dodgers led 1-0. D-backs tied. Dodgers led 3-1, 3-2. Then it was tied 3-3, and 2 in the 5th inning gave Arizona the 5-3 lead. The big blow in the 5th inning was Eric Chavez batting for Martin Prado and hitting the home run with Owings aboard. That's the difference. Ground ball up the middle. Gordon backhand, sets for the throw and gets him. And the 8th inning is in the books. Nice bit of relief for 2 innings by Brandon Lee. He allowed just 1 hit. And at the end of 8, 5-3 Arizona. 5-3 lead, and we've reached the 9th inning. For Arizona, the last time they won a series at home would be September the 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2013. They took 2 out of 3 from Colorado. So you can imagine just how hungry they are. And Addison Reed, basically a San Diego boy, went to San Diego State trying to give Kirk Gibson that second home win and series. Reed grew up wanting to be Trevor Hoffman, and he has lived to get that role. He never did want to be a starter. He succeeded Steven Strasburg as the ace at San Diego State. Uribe showing bunt, 1 ball and no strikes. With the White Sox last year, Addison Reed had 40 saves, and the year before 29. Uribe has struck out twice, popped up 0 for 3. Foul back. 1-1. Uribe came into the game hitting .308. Reed is 6'4", 215. 1-2 to count to Uribe. Addison Reed, 3 years with the White Sox. Now the closer here. He's had some problems of late. Little foul ball out of play. Reed's earned run average is almost 5. That's the problem. He has saved 11. Puig might have come to the end of his hitting streak. He went 0 for 3 and he was hit by a pitch. And Uribe strikes out a 3rd time. So Reed picks up 1 out. And looking at Reed's numbers, he has walked 4 and he has struck out 25. So here's Butera with Scott Van Slyke on deck. Butera 0 for 2 with a walk and a strike. Drew walked in the 2nd inning, struck out in the 4th, and grounded out in the 7th. Oh and 1. Boy, at 6'4" with a long stride. He's right on top of you coming down off that 10-inch mound. 6'4" and 215 pounds. One and 2. They're in the bottom of the 8th in San Francisco, and the Giants leading 4-1. Fouled away. Dodgers will be facing the New York Mets for 3. The Mets started the day 2.5 games behind Atlanta. Washington beat the Mets 6-3. That's strike 3. So Reed comes in, strikes out 2. Now trying to finish off the Dodgers against Scott Van Slyke. Gibson and the pitching coach Mike Harkey shoulder to shoulder, and Reed taking a little walk before Scotty checks in. Van Slyke did not play last night. Night before, he had a double and a home run here. 5-3 Arizona. 2 out, top of the 9th, bases empty. And a high foul coming back is Montero, but it's back in the stands. And the count 0-1. No balls and 1 strike to Scott Van Slyke. Van Slyke hitting .269, 4 home runs, 6 runs batted in. And the chant, beat LA. 0-2. $35,406, and the Dodgers down to their last strike. Fouled away. Dodgers had 2 chances to rally in the 6th inning. 2 on, 1 out. Kemp, as the pinch hitter, hit into a double play. And then they had the bases loaded in the 8th with 2 out, and Kemp hit a line drive right at Cliff Pennington. 0-2 to Van Slyke. Check swing. Dodgers led 1-0 and 3-1. But the Diamondbacks tied it up in the 4th and had the 2-run home run by Chavez in the 5th. And that's the difference. Gonzalez had a 3-hit game. Hanley Ramirez had a home run, but all to no avail. 1-2 to Scott Van Slyke. Ground ball inside third, down the line. Up with the ball is Inciarte, and down by 2 with 2 out in the 9th. Van Slyke will hold on at first base. So Scotty off the bench, a single left. That'll bring up D. Gordon, who is hitless. So Van Slyke drives it between Chavez and the bag, and the Dodgers still alive. D. Gordon 0 for 4, 3 ground balls to Pennington and a line drive to Pennington, and on deck Yasiel Puig. So Gordon with his foot in the door, trying to keep the inning alive. Now it's a little different with a runner at first. Goldschmidt has to hold the bag on Van Slyke. Normally the corner infielders have been right on top of D, and all he can do is hit ground balls to Pennington. But Goldschmidt's on the bag, so the lane is open on the right side. Chavez well in on the grass at third. The outfield a big gap. Pollock is shading left center, but Parra straight away and right. 1 ball and no strikes. And a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. On deck, Yasiel Puig. Puig 0 for 3, hit by a pitch last time. And a fly ball to left field. Inciarte is there, and that does it. The Diamondbacks have been the whipping boys wind up winning 2 out of 3. A thoroughly frustrated Dodger team goes down to defeat. 5 runs, 11 hits for Arizona. The big home run, not the one by Ross, the one by Eric Chavez. That turns out to be the play and the hit of the game. Chavez breaking a 3-3 tie with a man aboard to beat the Dodgers and Dan Haren 5-3. So the winning pitcher is Cole Mentor, and the loser would be Dan Haren. And the Dodgers move on to New York. They'll be playing Tuesday. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, we wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon.